History flows like a river. Tell us what happened today in history.
Today, 661 years ago, May 21, 1358, the largest peasant uprising in French history, the Zécre Uprising broke out. Zécre Uprising, an anti-feudal peasant uprising in France on May 21, 1358, was one of the largest peasant uprisings in Western European countries in the Middle Ages. Zécre, originated from Jacques bonhomme, dumb Zach, meaning country folk, is a peer's disdain for peasants, hence the name of the uprising. In Washington, D.C., humanitarians Clara Barton and Adolphus Solomons found the American National Red Cross, an organization established to provide humanitarian aid to victims of wars and natural disasters in congruence with the International Red Cross. Barton, born in Massachusetts in 1821, worked with the sick and wounded during the American Civil War and became known as the Angel of the Battlefield for her tireless dedication. In 1865, President Abraham Lincoln commissioned her to search for lost prisoners of war, and with the extensive records she had compiled during the war, she succeeded in identifying thousands of the Union dead at the Andersonville prisoner of war camp. She was in Europe in 1870 when the Franco-Prussian War broke out, and she went behind the German lines to work for the International Red Cross. In 1873, she returned to the United States, and 4 years later she organized an American branch of the International Red Cross. The American Red Cross received its first U.S. federal charter in 1900. Barton headed the organization into her 80s and died in 1912. Today, 115 years ago, on May 21, 1904, FIFA was founded. FIFA introduced the establishment of FIFA on May 21, 1904 in the back of the French Federation of Sports Associations (FIFA) at 229 Honoré Street, Paris, France. Representatives and agents of 7 countries, such as France, signed the relevant documents. At the founding meeting, the participants formulated the initial constitution of FIFA, which stipulated that only national football associations and associations should recognize each other, that clubs and players should be prohibited from participating in football matches held in different countries at the same time, that rules formulated by the Football Association of England should be adopted in matches, that penalties of each other should be recognized, and that each association should pay 50 francs to FIFA every year. On May 23, 1904, FIFA held its first plenary meeting, electing Robert Garland, a Frenchman, as its first president. Under the leadership of Galen, FIFA has done a lot of hard work in establishing work institutions, absorbing new members, expanding influence, and helping some countries to create their own football associations. On April 14, 1905, the Football Association of England, the first football association in the world, announced its recognition and request to join FIFA. Subsequently, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland followed suit. FIFA is currently the largest single international sports organization and the supreme authority of world football. It has 178 members and is headquartered in the 11th FIFA building in Hitz, Zurich, Switzerland. The aim of FIFA is to promote the development of international football and to develop friendly relations among the various football associations. The supreme authority of FIFA is the Congress, which is held every 2 years. Each full member association has 1 vote. And 3 delegates are allowed to participate in the discussion. Only the Congress can have its own statutes and rules. Passing a constitutional amendment bill requires 3/4 support. Elections are held by secret ballot, and the resolutions adopted by the Congress shall take effect 3 months after their adoption. The President of FIFA is elected by the Congress for a term of 4 years and may be re-elected during the intersessional period of the Congress. An executive committee composed of 21 members shall exercise all powers. The day-to-day work of FIFA is the responsibility of the Secretary-General appointed by the Executive Committee and the Secretariat under its leadership. Institutional settings: Executive Committee, responsible for the administration of FIFA; World Cup Organizing Committee, Amateur Committee, Judgment Committee, Technical Committee, Medical Committee, Press and Publication Committee. Disciplinary Committee, Legal Affairs Committee, World Youth Championship Committee, Secretariat. 6 years after the First Moroccan Crisis, during which Kaiser Wilhelm's sensational appearance in Morocco provoked international outrage and led to a strengthening of the bonds between Britain and France against Germany, French troops occupy the Moroccan city of Fez on May 21, 1911, sparking German wrath and a second Moroccan crisis. In March 1911, French authorities claimed rebel tribes staged an uprising in Morocco, endangering one of the country's capital cities, Fez. The Sultan appealed to France for help restoring order, which led the French to send their troops to Fez on May 21. Germany, however, wary of French power in Africa, believed the French had fomented the tribal revolt to create an excuse to occupy Morocco. The German Foreign Secretary, Alfred von Kitterlin-Wachter, neglected to consult key personnel, including the chiefs of the armed forces, before sending a naval cruiser, the Panther, to anchor in the harbor of Agadir on Morocco's Atlantic coast, asserting Germany's claims of French aggression on July 1 in an attempt to encourage resistance against the French among the native population. Though, as in the First Moroccan Crisis, Germany had counted on France's isolation and eventual submission, this did not prove to be the case, as Britain once again backed France, its partner in the Entente Cordiale of 1904. David Lloyd George, Britain's Chancellor of the Exchequer, made this clear in a public address in London at a banquet at the Mansion House on July 21. After Russia too gave its support to France, though somewhat ambiguously, and Austria-Hungary failed to lend Germany even its diplomatic support, the Germans were forced to back down. In the ensuing negotiations, concluding November 4, Germany reluctantly agreed to recognize the French protectorate over Morocco in return for territorial concessions, which they deemed inadequate, in other regions of Africa. Meanwhile, military talks began between the British and French, and it was decided that their two navies would divide responsibilities, with the French taking control of the Mediterranean and the British the North Sea and the English Channel. As the two countries moved from friendship to alliance, counting Russia as well on their side, in the wake of the Second Moroccan Crisis, a powerful Germany found itself increasingly isolated, with only tenuous support from its fellow Triple Alliance members, Austria-Hungary and Italy. As Helmuth von Moltke, chief of the German General Staff, wrote to the German Chancellor, Theobald Bethmann von Hollweg in a memorandum dated December 2, 1912, all sides are preparing for European war, which all sides expect sooner or later. Today, 35 years ago, on May 21, 1984, the world's first optical fiber video telephone began to use. On May 21, 1984, the world's first video telephone using optical fiber communication network was officially launched in Biarritz, southwestern France. On that day, French President Mitterrand held a 10-minute video phone conversation with French Minister of Posts and Telecommunications Louis Mexando in Biarritz at the Élysée Palace. According to Mitterrand, this achievement is the cutting edge of French electronic technology, which shows that the French telecommunications industry has unlimited possibilities. Optical fiber communication network is the future communication system, because the resistance of optical fiber is 10 times smaller than that of coaxial cable, but the capacity is 10 parts larger, so it can gradually replace the traditional copper cable. Fiber optic communication network can be used for video telephony, television network and access to data and images. The Biarritz optical fiber communication network is 10,000 kilometers long and worth about 600 million francs. Today, 28 years ago, on the 21st of May 1991, the regime of Mengistu in Ethiopia collapsed. On the 21st of May 1991, Ethiopian President Mengistu was forced to resign and leave Zimbabwe to seek political asylum. The Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front (FDRE), an anti-government armed group, took the opportunity to launch a fierce attack on the capital area and the government troops quickly collapsed. On the 26th, FRD seized the largest military airport in Ethiopia, about 50 kilometers southeast of the capital Addis Ababa, and cut off the last land access to the capital. On the 28th, it occupied the presidential palace to take over the state power, and on the 29th, it began to disarm the former government forces. On the 30th, senior officials of the former government surrendered to the FNL army. Today, 28 years ago, on the 21st of May 1991, former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi of India was assassinated and killed. At 10:20 p.m. on May 21, 1991, Rajiv Gandhi, the former Prime Minister of India, was killed by a flower-laying woman in a bomb. During a campaign in Sri Dukparampador, 40 kilometers south of Madras, the capital of Tamil Nadu state. The news came as a shock to the world. Born on August 20, 1944 in Mumbai, India, Gandhi entered politics in 1980 and became President of the Congress Party (UK) and Prime Minister of the government in October 1984. Gandhi stepped down in November 1989 after the Congress Party failed in the general election. The two prime ministers who came to power successively were unsustainable because of the unstable political situation. The People's House of the Indian Parliament, the House of Commons, decided to hold an early general election, which began on May 20, 1991. Gandhi intends to revive his ambitions. After the assassination of Gandhi, the Indian Central Bureau of Investigation and a special investigation team set up to investigate the case immediately, and finally found out that the case was committed by the Tamil Tigers of Sri Lanka, the chief planner of the organization Prabhakaran. The specific operation was commanded by the Sivramani responsible for intelligence work, while the bomb-wrapped bomb exploded by the opportunity of offering feet touches was a Tamil woman. Female Tanu, real name Jayatri. In July 1987, during his visit to Sri Lanka, Gandhi signed the agreement on the establishment of peace and normal conditions in Sri Lanka with the Prime Minister. Accordingly, India sent 50,000 peacekeeping troops to Sri Lanka to implement a ceasefire between the government forces and Tamil rebels. The post-Indian army was involved in the civil war in Sri Lanka and many times clashed with the Tamil Tigers, killing many Tamils. It was not until Gandhi stepped down that the Indian army withdrew. In order to prevent Gandhi from returning to power and sending troops to suppress the anti-government forces, the Tamil Tiger Sajang Shin planned the incident. After the incident, Indian police captured nearly 500 tigers in various parts of Tamil Nadu and seized the organization's weapons and ammunition depots and underground factories in India. On the 20th of August, the commandos of the National Security Forces rushed into the hiding place of Sivarajan and others, and found that all the 7 criminals who assassinated the Gandhi action team had committed suicide by taking poison. The assassination of Gandhi caused strong repercussions at home and abroad. Indian newspapers call it national misfortune and irreparable loss of the state. Prime Minister Shekhar declared a state funeral for him. The flag was lowered at half-mast on a national holiday. United Nations Secretary-General Pérez de Cuéllar is deeply saddened by the premature death of this outstanding political leader.